Happy Showcase Sunday, and this Showcase Sundays from AJ Lakes are coming to bring experts in the industries that they are in to help and support our hospitality and tourism industry. And this week we have got the amazing Gwen Backhouse from Curlew Secretarial Solutions, who is here, and she's going to introduce herself now and tell us who she is, what she does and why she does it. Over to you, Gwen.
Hi there, thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here. So my name is Gwen Backhouse and I am a virtual assistant. My business is Curlew Secretarial Solutions and I've been a VA now for, 7 years. Which has gone very quickly. I started in 2014 after spending around 20 years in the industry working. Starting off, I went through college and did all my admin qualifications and RSA qualifications. Worked my way through. I was a doctor's receptionist for a while and an audio typist, and then I worked my way up to being a PA. So I've always had my eye on being a virtual assistant, and 7 years ago I finally decided to finish work and do it and become a virtual assistant. So I specialise in secretarial and admin work. And when I first started my business, we were living in Garrigill on Alston Moor in the middle of nowhere. And we had curlews nesting in the field behind us, which I loved. We always knew spring was coming when curlews came. So hence the curlew in my logo. And yeah, I started off with just a little laptop and a printer when I first started out, and I've grown my business now, having taken on an office in Brampton Town Centre, and I have a fantastic team of associates that have helped me widen the services that we offer. And we now offer services such as VA Tech, which is digitalising and helping you to work more remotely with your clients and stay in touch with them. And we do web design and management services. We also offer a Christmas card service every year where we handwrite and send out your Christmas cards for you. So that saves people a lot of time. And yeah, it's gone from strength to strength, really. We've won national industry awards. I absolutely adore being a virtual assistant. I feel like it is my calling. It was what I was meant to do. And I've always loved all things admin. When I was a child, you'd always find me in the stationery aisle of the supermarket. So it was where I was meant to be. So yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. And what's unique and different about you as a virtual assistant? Because I know it's funny, when I was managing hotels in the industry, I didn't really know what a virtual assistant was. I had a PA at one time, and then I'd have receptionists and so on who would help and support. But I didn't really understand what a virtual assistant was and why you needed one. But I'm guessing, you know, the USP, your USP is actually massive, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, in the VA industry, it's a little different because we all collaborate quite closely together and don't actually view each other as competition because we work together so well. But obviously we are all different, and I've always said there's a virtual assistant out there for everybody because different people click and different people want different services and so on. I guess really my USP is my experience. I've had a good 20 odd years experience in the industry. I am me. I am quite a laid back person. I'm quite informal. I like to get to know my clients and build a relationship with them, and then we can build on looking at what services we can offer to help your business whilst we're working with you. But also I collaborate quite a lot with the industry. The Society of Virtual Assistants kind of oversees the industry, and I work and collaborate with them. And because I do that, and I also attend a lot of industry events, I keep up to date on the latest legislation that affects the industry. So there's IR35 has been a recent update that we have to make sure that we work in the right way so as not to cause issues with that for our customers. There's GDPR, of course, good old GDPR. GDPR. So staying on top of how that's working and making sure that we are compliant with it. And also staying on top of things like there's the Anti-Money Laundering Act. So specifically, if you're offering financial services, you have to either be registered with that or there is an exemption for virtual assistants. So it's staying on top of that legislation, which then enables you to offer a really strong service for your clients. And you can ensure that whatever you're setting up for them, for example, a database or CRM system or something, that then meets those regulations and you're working in that compliant way. So I also specialise in environmental science. I did a good degree in that when my children were little with the Open University. I do tend to have quite a lot of professors that want documents typing up because I'm familiar with the jargon in the industry. A whole range of USPs, really.
Massive range. And you actually do diary management as well, because I'm thinking about when I was managing hotels in the industry, and I would be busy working in the business as well as having time to try and take on the business, to actually work on the business. And the thing that would have been a massive godsend to me is actually if you'd have helped me manage my diary, so I could put my TFM in, my time for me, which I'm massive on, but also to make sure that we diary manage, you know, appointments, as well as making sure that the business is running effectively. But for me, it's all about what the end goal is, and I wasn't the best in, you know, putting systems together. I knew systems, I knew all the hospitality systems, I knew how to work them, I knew how to train on them. But things like the database collection and newsletters so that you could communicate was something that I sort of needed someone to save me time and money, to be able to actually educate me, but also train my team so that it would become an easy thing to do. And that's something you obviously do very well, isn't it?
Yes, so that's something that is one of the first services that I offered, actually, and that's diary management and email management. So yeah, absolutely, we work with just about every diary out there, and we also work with a whole wide range of booking systems out there as well. So it's just about getting systems to talk to each other, making sure that they work and that things aren't being double booked, for instance. To make sure that they notify you as well when there is something important coming up. There's nothing worse than missing a meeting or what have you, because your diary is not notifying you. So it's just making sure that even the tiny little elements of those applications are working right for you, because different people need different things out of them as well. So yeah, it's making sure everything talks nicely to one another as well.
So I'm guessing you'd be able to have an introductory call where you can actually find out what the client is wanting, what they're expecting, and what they need, because sometimes they don't know what they need. And especially for firefighting, which all the industry seems to be doing at the moment, it's working flat out. And I've got business owners telling me they're all hands on at the moment as well. And I can just see, you know, forecasting, gosh, they're not even, you know, we should be autumn winter now, thought process, and looking at next year, and that's not even registered in a lot of people's minds unless they've got somebody in place in their organization who's doing that. So what do you do that will help and support the hospitality industry that's relevant right now, but also can future-proof them and sustain them?
Okay, so, well, first of all, you're right. We have a discovery call when I take on a new client, and we like to learn how they work, what they do, what their specific services are, and very often it's a bit of a journey. So as you start working with a client, you then work out more about what they do, and you can offer services based on that. So your working relationship can then grow from that point. So we offer so many services that could help someone in hospitality. So for example, we do newsletters for people. So we work with things like MailChimp and MailerLite and Constant Contact, you name it, we've worked with it. So sending out those regular newsletters to keep in touch with people who've stayed with you before or eaten with you before, updating them on offers, just generally staying in contact, because by doing that, you're reminding them that you're there. And for example, I recently stayed somewhere and I got a newsletter from them and it was like, that was a really nice stay and I've actually booked another stay again. So it does work. It does work. So yeah, also just telling people if there's been any changes in what's coming. I mean, at the moment, we live in a time where legislation is changing by the second. So staying in touch with your customers, whether that be by newsletter or just a mail shot that goes out that says, you know what, we're still open. This is what we'd like you to do when you come and visit us, but please come and visit us. This is what's going on at the moment. We also work with booking systems. Because we offer WordPress services, it means that we can build them into your website and we can make things talk to each other. So we can make your booking systems speak with your accountancy systems and with your CRM database systems. And we can set them up for you. We can set up the automations that make them talk to each other. And that will save people so much time. So for example, if you are taking bookings over the phone, you're sending out an email, then you've got to send a reminder email out, you've got to send the invoice out, and so on and so on. All that can be done automatically without you even lifting a finger. So they could book through your website. They automatically get sent all the information from the mailing system that's talking to. Their details go straight onto your database. There's a schedule on the automated system that will then send them another email a little nearer the time to say your final payment is due now. That will fire off an invoice and it's all done for you and you haven't had to do anything. And it can be like you speak, so it doesn't have to be this informal robotic system. You can make it sound like you, and in a lot of cases people will go, oh, you know, it's been lovely, all the contact we've had with you, and they don't know any different. They can still get in contact with you if they need you, so you will be notified if they send a message that says, could you give us a call please, we need to discuss something with you. But it does mean that that whole chunk of time has been given back to you on a plate, really, so you can do with that what you will. And you know, our VA tech services offer all sorts of solutions to dealing with your clients virtually. So digital forms is another example. If you need somebody to sign your forms, that can be done digitally. You don't have to send them a paper copy. So you're also looking at more COVID safe options there, really. So, and then there's the help with the general admin. You know, if you've got receipts, for example, that you want to be added to an accounting system, that's something that VAs do for you, and just writing letters, sending out post. If you want to do a flyer drop or something like that, we can pack the envelopes, print off the labels, fire them off for you. And VAs can do pretty much anything you ask them to do in the admin area. So it's just a way of saving yourself some time rather than sitting in the office. However, you don't always need to outsource a job. So we do say to our customers when they phone us up, they're like, I hate doing such and such, it takes so long. And we send them off and say, right, time it. Time how long it takes. And quite often they'll come back to us and go, well, it only took 15 minutes. So I don't know why it feels like it takes so long. And I think it's just that they procrastinate while they're doing it and it doesn't get done. And so we do say to them, it's like, well, you know, we could do that for you, but do you want to pay us to do something that maybe only takes you 15 minutes? And quite often they'll think about it and go, well, probably not actually. So not doing ourselves out of work, but we do like to think about what works for you and what doesn't. So
that's critical. And the thing that I mentioned a couple of days ago, actually, on my FAQ Friday, was the TripAdvisors, the Google reviews and all that. Yes. You can set up systems post departure, where the guests would get an email, and I gave a top tip, you know, to be proactive rather than reactive if there's a complaint coming in.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of the industry are getting a bit of a kick in from people not being kind, they're not being forgiving, they're not being patient. And I can understand a lot of people have been waiting for too long to actually go away or to go and experience something. So it's a big, the guest experience is far exceeding what it's ever done before. But it's about how to manage it effectively, and you can set up systems to ensure that this is actually a given rather than ending up a reaction where you then spend so much time having to deal with a complaint.
Yeah.
Actually, then the media backlash on top of it, because it's then ruined your marketing aspect. So
this is it. So we've got customers who hand over the reviews to us. So we look after their TripAdvisor or their Airbnb. And the reason they've done that is because it takes the emotion out of it. The trouble is we all react in a certain, if somebody criticizes something we do, it's the natural reaction to go and defend yourself. And the trouble is with that is, I mean, I've read those TripAdvisor reviews where the owner sort of claps back at something that's been said, and either the media have taken that as, oh, look how this owner got them back, but also it's like, look how this owner overreacted, and that can so go against you. And it's such a shame if it does, because like, you're just defending yourself. But by getting a virtual assistant to do that for you, it removes that emotion. The virtual assistant can come up with a nice response, a nicely worded response, and then pass that feedback back to the business to say, actually, you know, somebody's just complaining that they waited a bit for their meal, and that then takes the sting out of it a little bit. The ones that ask me to do the reviews tend not to read the reviews. They get me to summarize them and feed them back to them. So it comes back to them in a form that's user-friendly rather than an attack on them as a person. And obviously, if there's unfair reviews, then we work to get that removed for the owners as well.
Yeah. I've always said, and it's something I learned very quickly when TripAdvisor first came out, I'll never forget that, is I actually used to write a response on a Word document and then delete it all, and then write an effective response on a Word document, then copy and paste it.
It makes you feel better, doesn't it? Just get it all out.
Right, your frustration and any issues that's going on, any trigger points.
Yeah. This is it, and it really can trigger it off, you know. And I can understand when you see these owners fire back at people, but it doesn't look good. So yeah, that is another option to dealing with those, and that is to get somebody neutral to deal with them for you.
And summarise it so you can be effective within your team, and you've saved time, money and energy, and you're not going and writing a day off. Some business owners and managers write a day off, go, right, that's it, I'm going to go and do TripAdvisor one day a month and lock themselves in the office. I think the added issue which happens, and I know lots of people who've done it, I have done it myself in the past, I'm very, you know, honest about it, but I get really upset that the fact that, you know, if someone's had a bad time, you do go on that moment of asking the question to the whole team, but you have got your own perception and they've got their own perception, and it's not proactive and it's not motivational or inspiring because you go with the wrong mindset. And when you're firefighting and you're in it, it's not really clever. So it is good to have someone else who's impartial to actually do it and help and support you.
Yes, definitely.
Got some top tips, haven't we? So what are your top tips?
Yes, so I've actually got 6 top tips today.
Wow.
So I'm spoiling you today. So my first top tip is going right back to basics and organising your digital filing systems on your computer. So one of my pet hates is going onto somebody's desktop and there's little icons all over it. It just really gets my goat. So it's organising your filing system. So this will actually save you a massive amount of time. You can go straight to where that document is, because if you're spending 2 to 5 minutes searching for a document each time you need something, you add that up at the end of the day, and actually that will take quite a lot of your time. So it's storing these documents where you can find them. Realistically, your desktop should be clear, and so should your downloads folder. And the same goes with emails. So emails, I'm not looking at you, Alison, I'm not. But emails, you can store them in folders within your inbox, so you can then go straight to the emails you want. You've always got the search function at the top, but realistically your emails should be kept to a minimum within the inbox, so you can go straight to the right email that you are looking back at, especially if you've got a massive amount of booking emails coming in, because they fill up your inbox. So you need to store them ideally in a separate folder, so you haven't got to look between them to find your emails. So that is my first top tip. So my second top tip touches on bookkeeping, but also on other admin systems as well. So once a week, take maybe an hour or two out and use that time to get up to date with the things that you need to do in the office. So whether that be adding receipts to your bookkeeping systems, sending out any letters dealing with your suppliers, staff, HR work, things like that. Just take some time out each week, because that way it doesn't build up. The trouble is especially when you're running a busy establishment, you're racing around all the time, putting out fires and what have you. This way you're just taking a little bit of time back to get up to date with the things that are always at the kind of bottom of the list and at the back of your head all the time. So that's a good way of just staying on top of those things and not letting them build up and becoming a mammoth task. My third top tip we've actually covered, which was looking at how long your tasks take. So when you get in touch and you want to outsource a job to a virtual assistant, they'll probably ask you, what type of things do you want to pass over? And knowing how long each task takes you is actually a really good way of finding out what you can pass on. So, for example, if that's the way that you manage bookings, then you can time how long it takes you each time, and that can be anything up to a few minutes, up to half an hour or what have you. But it does give you a good idea on what you can pass over. Top tip number 4. I'm losing count now. So top tip number 4 is to always make your notes in one place, because now I know that when the phone rings and you have to make notes, sometimes you grab a piece of paper here and there.
That's right.
And you write down something and then you lose it. So have a notepad by the phone and your computer, so that you can always write down those notes in the same place. So I'm lucky because I'm at my desk all the time. So when the phone rings, I write all my notes down on OneNote. So I can always go into OneNote and pull out the notes from that phone call. When I first started out in business, it was a case of I'd write it down in a notepad here and then over there, and then someone would go, do you remember what we talked about? And it was like, yes. So have a notepad, whether that be on you, if it's a little notepad in your pocket, or if you are at a desk, you know, by the phone, but always write them down in the same place. I
can guarantee a lot of hospitality business owners, managers have a check pad.
Yes, exactly.
And it's in duplicate or triplicate. I know it's all digital now. However, there will always be a check pad that we tend to go to. However, you're right, there'll be a check pad and you rip it off, and it's getting somebody to put that into a digital format so that you can remember or put it on your list. Yeah,
this is it. So my husband's a chef. He writes notes everywhere. So what he does is he puts them all in his back pocket. He comes home and then I need to wash his trousers, so I take them all out of his trousers and type them up for him, and he's got his notes sorted. So
gosh, he's a lucky boy.
He is, isn't he?
He's a very lucky boy.
So that's just one way of always being able to find your notes, and the same goes for your diary. If you've got any events coming up, whether that be a small meeting with your staff members or a supplier, make sure that goes in your diary, and if it's a digital diary, make sure your notifications are set, because it's really easy to miss something otherwise. So whether you set them for 10 minutes prior to the meeting or half an hour, so you have time to prepare.
Or if you're traveling to it, however long.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, and the thing is, you know, when you're rushing around, it's really easy to forget about small meetings. You know, especially if you've just promised a staff member that you'll spend 10 minutes talking to them. Get it in the diary so you don't miss it. I'm going to go to my last top tip and then the next one. So if you get to the point where you want to start outsourcing to a virtual assistant, you need to know how to find one. So there are certain things you need to look for in a virtual assistant before you take one on. You need to make sure that they are registered with the data protection register on the ICO website, and you can search the register on that website. They have to be registered on there. That is one thing you must do as a virtual assistant, because you are dealing with personal data all the time. During your discovery call as well, it's also worth asking them about GDPR. So you need to know that your virtual assistant understands GDPR, and you are quite within your rights to ask them what they're doing to comply with GDPR as well. So if they don't know what GDPR is, that is not the virtual assistant for you, because as you well know from previous Showcase Sundays, the GDPR is 4% of your turnover. That is a large fine. So you need to know that the work you're outsourcing is going to be compliant and looked after properly. You also need to make sure that they're insured, because although that sounds like something that they need to know and not you, you do need to know, because if they lose your data, that will affect you.
But the other element as well, which is really important, is understanding the data that is yours and what is done with it after they've used it. And I think it's having that contract of whose copywritten it is, because in hospitality they may come up with a cracking offer, but if, say, a virtual assistant, not like you, Gwen, because I know you're very, you know, strict with confidence and so on. But if they've got a number of businesses, for example, they could then say, well, this is the offer that such a body's using. So it's understanding that contract as well, which is vital.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to be working with a virtual assistant that doesn't have a contract. It's normal for a virtual assistant to send you a contract and a data protection agreement. It's unusual for a client to ask you to sign their contract. An NDA is fine, but if they're sending you a contract that states the times you should be working, what have you, you're then diving into IR35 territory, and you don't want to be going down that route. So I have written a blog called How to Find a Virtual Assistant, and I'll give you the link to that to add on if you like.
So many people also don't understand IR35, so it might be an idea to just mention that too as well.
Yes.
Gwen.
Yeah. So I mean, IR35 is a really important one, and that covers your employee outsourcing relationship. So what the government are trying to do is to stop people saying I'm outsourcing when in actual fact it's an employee, and they're kind of businesses are trying to get away with paying the overheads that go hand in hand with having an employee. So because having a virtual assistant is genuinely outsourcing, for the most part you're absolutely fine, but it is the virtual assistant's job now. They've just changed the legislations again, but it is the virtual assistant's job to find out whether you fall either side of IR35. So again, have a chat with them, see if they've done that check for you, because you can do a check with each client on the government website to see where you fall, and you can ask them if they've done that or if they will do that for you. And again, they should have a a coherent answer about that rather than I don't know. So you need to make sure that they do understand that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, and it's something that I know business owners and managers are trying to keep up with legislation, guidelines, restrictions, and everything else that's going with it at the moment. And then the interpretation of the guests and communication of the suppliers, the guests, the staff, of what Freedom Day was, and so much to take in. And the beauty of the Showcase Sundays and the FAQ Fridays is to actually help and support them understand what each of these elements are. And that's the great thing of also having a virtual assistant who can help and support you to be on top of your admin, your data, and any changes, especially with IR35. That was a change that was recent, and you know, unless you're in that field,
this is it,
access it or see it. And that's
and this is why we put ourselves in good stead to be able to put your mind at ease with these things, because like you say, it's the last thing you want to think about when you've got everything else going on. So you know, the fact that we know about these things, that we've got them in hand, is hopefully something that can help you rest easy.
Number 6.
Yes, tip number 6. So if you do take on a virtual assistant and you start outsourcing work, you have to communicate with them. So communication is the most important thing that you can do with a newly outsourced member of staff, because that is the way they learn about your business. That's the way they know what to do. I have worked with some clients in the past who thought I was psychic, and I am not, and it's not one of my skills, unfortunately. So, you know, whether that be a weekly phone call or just checking in regularly, that's fine, but you have to stay in touch.
Definitely. And they've got it. What I would definitely add on to that, number 6, is to actually ensure they tell you who their ideal client avatar is, what is their USP, what the goals and objectives are for working with you, and what they're expecting, and then keep the action review plan going all the way through, because so many will outsource one element and then it grows and grows, but it's then redefining where that's going and why. Because if they don't do that, they might be just going down a rabbit hole some days, and then wondering why they are there. And it's so important. Communication is very much key. Yeah, you're right.
It really is. It's, you know, it's what makes the difference between working really well with a VA or just having a VA that does the basic tasks, and it never comes any further than that. Because, you know, the more we learn about you and what you do, the more we can say, actually, do you know what, we could do that for you, we could save you some time here. I mean, with most of my clients, it's lovely because we've got more of a friend-based relationship than a colleague-based relationship, you know, because we've got to know them so well and what they do. So yeah, it's lovely, really. It's a nice way to work with people. And
you find out more what your VA can do, because you might think a VA could be a PA as such, but then you find out, oh, they do digital, oh, they do tech, oh, they do, you know, systems, oh, they can actually implement so much in your business without you having to worry about it, but also help train and develop your team to upskill as well, which is massive right now. Because I know when I speak to business owners and managers, they are struggling with admin teams, they're struggling with front of house teams, they're struggling with chefs, they're struggling, there's across the board, and if you can dip in and out and help you know, them to manage the admin, the background, the backup, the digital schemes, and save time and money, then my goodness, you're gold dust. That's the key.
Well, virtual assistants as a rule tend to have a wider skill set than PAs and admin assistants that you'd employ, but that's purely because we work with such a huge range of different industries, and we've been able to then use those new skills to work with our other clients. So I mean, that's really paid off. But I mean, we do train people as well. So when we've set up CRM systems, which is I keep mentioning that, as customer relationship management system, and it's like a glorified database that holds people's details, but you can also keep emails and diary and what have you in there. I then go and train people to use that. So, you know, we do offer training on, if we set up systems for people, we do offer training behind that. So, and, you know, people don't always want to work with us long term. Sometimes they just want to bring us in to set something up, and that's fine too.
Yeah, and it's massive. So obviously, you've helped the industry, haven't you? I mean, you're already helping your husband, that's number one.
Yes.
Lucky boy. But any other examples that how you help the industry save time and money?
Yeah, so I work with a delightful lady who has, she's got a beautiful barn in the middle of the countryside, and next to the barn is, it's like a separate little building that's like a miniature barn, and she's built into it this wonderful holiday cottage. But she's a retirement age, and she's not technical at all. She really does not like computers or phones or anything. So we've been helping her to get set up and to sell this cottage online for holiday lets, and just to save her time too. So we've set her up on Airbnb. We've set her up with a website booking system as well, so she can take bookings directly. We've automated everything for her, so she doesn't have to lift a finger. The only thing she has to do is go in and tidy and clean the cottage as and when. We've also been working with her through COVID. So obviously she had to close for a period of time, but we were able to then update that on things like Airbnb and what have you. And we actually, because she was entitled to some money back, and we were actually able to help her claim that. So, and like what have you. So yeah, we've been helping her with that. We've also been able to guide her with some of the systems she was using prior that she'd set up herself, and they weren't ideal. So it was good to be able to then get her to a point where she was not spending excessive money on a variety of booking systems, and we can take care of any questions that come through on Airbnb, any feedback that comes through, and on TripAdvisor. We'll deal with the reviews, and yeah, it's we also take care of, for example, if somebody books and says we're coming away for our anniversary, then I let her know, and she then goes in and puts a box of chocolates and a bottle of champagne on the side, and we can enable her to sort of do those personal touches as well. So yeah, she's a lovely lady to work for. Her cottage is just gorgeous. I've never seen such a beautiful cottage. I was able to go and look around it because she's local, and it's just divine. It really is. So it's been a real pleasure working for her.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And the other element as well, which is something that I used to take at time, or I'd end up giving it to I'd empower one of my team members to do it, one of my management team members to do it, but it was always a pain for all of us, is meetings. When we had board meetings, and I would ask one of my team members to come in, or if we had a management team meeting. You do minutes as well, don't you?
I do, yes. I quite like doing minutes too. I'm one of those strange people. But I love doing minutes. In fact, I was doing minutes last night for somebody, so yes.
Yeah, that's a godsend in itself, you know, and then you can get all the minutes put out straight away. Absolutely. All the actions agreed, and it makes you more efficient and effective. You're not waiting for a minute where you can sit down and actually type up the minutes for everybody or email the minutes.
This is it. Yeah. And we also take care of the part of, you know, organising the meeting as well. We can book meeting rooms. We can send out doodle polls to make sure everybody's available on the date. We can send out the emails, we can send out the pre-meeting documents, so, and then follow up afterwards. So it just takes all of that out of your hands.
Yeah, and then you follow up with whoever's held the meeting, that this is what.
Yeah, this is what the actions are. This is what
I needed you in my last role as well.
There's not much you can put past us that will surprise us now. I
That's
have to say.
amazing, and helping to diversify as well, which is fantastic. When such systems as a lot of, especially when they were doing the takeaways and things like that, completely out of the comfort zone. But all sorts of other diversity and innovative ideas.
Yeah, the afternoon teas were a big one. Setting up afternoon teas to take out. One of our clients did that. So yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. So if someone was sitting on the fence right now, saying, what do I need a VA for? Or is it the right thing for me? Or I'm not sure whether it's something that I need. What would any of your current or past clients say to them?
If you're thinking of maybe going down the route of working with a virtual assistant, then the first thing I would say is really look at what you're doing. What work are you doing? What do you not like doing? How long does it take? What really saps your time? And then the next important thing is to give us a call. So by phoning a virtual assistant, first of all, you can work out whether you get on with them or not, because that is key, that you really trust and get on well with your virtual assistant, and then talk to them about these things that you've worked out are sapping your time or you don't like doing. And then just by having that chat, we can then we have a way of digging in and finding out what else is going on there as well, and sort of working out what maybe you could do with some assistance with, because there's a lot of things that maybe a customer wouldn't know about that actually we could take off their hands and help with, which would save them time. So I've got a lot of lovely customers, and one of my customers, she's a forest school trainer, and she was out in the woods all the time and missing emails, missing phone calls and what have you, and having to organise accommodation for people who were training with her, etc. So she would say that she has said that we've been an absolute godsend, because she's been able to go out and do exactly what she loves doing, what she went into business to do, and we've saved her so much time and hassle as well. So any inquiries that she wasn't sure about, it's stuff that we've dealt with. So it's time is the biggie here. That's what we save people, and it's priceless. Time is, to get that time back, and whether that be just to take time out and have your time for me, or whether that be to spend it more with the staff. Stop just putting those fires out constantly and work more efficiently and effectively, then that's what we're looking for. That's the result that you want.
Yeah, and there'll always be teething problems with every relationship you start. I say this to so many business owners and managers all the time, that if someone just starts with you, whether it's somebody who you've outsourced a virtual assistant's work to, or whether it's one of your team members who are in-house, there's going to be teething problems, and those teething problems can get overcome very quickly if you communicate of what you want, because what you might think you want up here to what you're actually expressing sometimes doesn't add up. And I see that a lot in the industry, so it's certainly worth looking at what your goals and objectives, but writing it down, actually putting a strategy in place, or mind map, so you can actually send your virtual assistant the mind map of where you want to be going to, so that they can understand what you need.
We quite often need mind maps, mind maps and spreadsheets. So but they're great, because then you can see exactly how the client is thinking and how they work. So it's a really good way. I mean, one of the things that we often get clients to do is do process maps. We always finish them off for them and make them look nice, but they draw us a nice process map, and actually that's good for us, but it's also good for any staff they take on too, because they can see how everything works. I come from a bit of an ISAQA background, so I used to have to do process maps for my when I was a PA. I used to look after the auditing and what have you, and they'd come in, because this organisation I worked for met those specifications, and you got an award that you could put on the bottom of your letterheads, and because of that served me well in this role, because I'm now able to say to customers, actually let's let's put everything into a process map about how you work, you know, each job, if you like. And then when you employ somebody, they can come straight in, look all through these process maps and know exactly what it is that they need to do. It's also good if you choose to go with somebody else. We sometimes work with customers who have a team of virtual assistants, and they outsource different things to the different virtual assistants. That's fine too, but they can pass on those process maps to each one of them. So it works well.
Amazing. Yeah, that is actually very, very handy, and also great for guest journey, to do a process map on what is the guest journey, so that you can make sure that you've ticked all the boxes, that you've not missed an element which would upset somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we're going to put the links at the end of how to get in touch with you, Gwen, and you also have the Borderlands, don't you, as well?
Yes, I do. Yes, I haven't mentioned Borderlands yet. So I have joined together with another virtual assistant in Cumbria, Amanda Ryan, and we started Borderlands VA Network in 2016, and we support virtual assistants in the north of England and over the border in Scotland, who want to start their business, or they want to grow their business and expand with a team of associates, and we can help walk them through that. And we also offer a networking group where they can talk to other virtual assistants, because virtual assistants can help each other to grow their businesses. They can work together and support one another as well. So yeah, it's a nice organisation that just really supports people to grow their businesses. And
you work all over the UK as well, because I've got clients down south, and I'm all over the UK. You can actually help clients wherever, really.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've got a client in Sweden. I've had one in Switzerland. Yeah, we can work with people absolutely anywhere. So yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic, wonderful. Thank you very much. Would you like to add anything, or?
No, just do look us up. You can find us on www.curlewsecretarial.co.uk, and yeah, we're more than happy to have a completely free chat with anybody who is either thinking of outsourcing, wants to outsource, or just wants some advice on how to work with a virtual assistant. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, and happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Showcase Sunday. And thank you very much, Gwen, for explaining all about all the ins and outs of virtual assistants, but also how to help and support our amazing hospitality and tourism industry.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.